You know, I love Taco Tuesday. You know why I love Taco Tuesday? Because I can have tequila and not feel an alcoholic. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Will Drumper Food Live. All right, we got a really cool show tonight. We have the one, the only, Nate and Jeremy from Little Drum Channel joining me tonight. But I put a call out before we get to this. I put a call out earlier, a couple days ago, that I wanted you guys to start sending me blanket permission to use your videos in my show. I need, for days I can't get a guest. By the way, I'm lining up hopefully a really cool guest here come in the next week or two. I talked to him today, so he says he's working some stuff out, and he's hoping we can get him on in the next week or two. You're going to love this guy. He's actually a mad genius. I'm not going to say who it is yet, though, because I don't want to spoil the surprise. But I need videos, guys. I need material. So if you want to be on the show, see that? Look at this. I just programmed this in today. Look at this. That's modern tech now. How do you do this, Jeff? Right like that. I put that in. So you email me right there, drumgeeks@outlook.com, and you say, I give you, Jeff, permission to use your video in my video in your show. You know what I mean. So just give me permission. So who we got in the chat today? We got Beats by Jay. Beats by Jay is always here. We have Jill Dawn Watkins. How are you doing? She says, I love these guys. I assume she's not talking about me. She must be talking about you, about my guest tonight. We have Jeff Drums is here. Johnson Drummer, my buddy Johnson Drummer. Uzi, Boo Boo Doo Doo. Mikey V is here. So what do we got? We got 17 in the chat. So we got more. Brandon Tanskli. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your last name, but he's here. So, anyways, when I put the call out, see, there it is, drumgeekslive@outlook.com. You want to be on the show. When I put the call out, I had a guy by the name of David email me, and he gave me permission. And I figured I'm gonna feature one of his videos to get him right off. He's fairly new to YouTube, but he's got some pretty cool covers. So, he's got great taste in music, man. He does all the stuff I love. So let's check him out. This is DMS Drum Covers.
Didn't know the solo part.
I think I had it muted on the output. There it is. All right, I really messed that up. Well, I'll tell you, I'm new to this whole thing. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. So when I was doing all my tests and messing with everything, I accidentally muted the output. Yeah, so let's not make that mistake again. So I'll play the video at the end of the show, too, so you guys can actually hear what happened. I'm really, really, really sorry about that. Gosh, man, I'm so stupid. I should just give all this up right now, but I'm not gonna. All right, we've got Jeremy and Nate live right here. How you guys doing? I pray to God we can hear you. Go ahead and talk for me, guys.
We're good.
All right. No, stop it. Stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have no idea the nightmare I've been having trying to get this Skype video to go through on everything. So could please talk. Please talk. And please. All right. How's it?
What's up?
What is up? All right. So, everybody, can we hear him? Bring him up a little bit, Jay says. Bring him up. All right. Well, I'm going to bring you up. Hold on one sec.
Bring us up.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
Hey, crew, what's up?
I can't bring him up anymore. It's as loud as it gets. Super quiet again. What is going on? All right. Talk for me, guys.
Hello, testing, 1, 2, hello.
Like it's pegged on my end. Can't hear. I don't know why. It was really loud. Go ahead and keep talking, guys.
Hello.
That's it. Okay. All right. Can you hear him now? Got him now?
1, 2. Testing,
right.
1, 2.
Okay.
5, 6.
I think we
2,
got
1,
you.
4.
I think we got you. And gone. And they're gone again. Gone? Yes. Can we hear? I need one person say I can hear them or I can't hear them.
I can hear Nate.
I can hear you guys too. Okay. All right. Jay says we're good. All right. Well, that was a cluster. All right. That was a complete cluster. Yeah, I know there's reverb. I haven't figured that part out yet. All right. How you guys doing?
Hey,
Nate.
we're good, buddy.
All right. Nate, Jeremy, how you guys doing? All right. So, actually, Jeremy and I talked about what, man? We talked for about what, a good hour on Friday?
Yeah, roughly. It was right about an hour.
Yeah.
Not much about music, though. It was mainly
Nothing.
about cans.
Yeah, it was mostly about dogs. It's totally about dogs. Jeremy and I both have, German Shepherds. He has, like, all German Shepherds are crazy, but some are a little crazier than others, and like he's got the crazier kind. I have the ones that just look pretty, like running around a ring, and he's got the ones that actually do stuff.
Yeah, they are pretty crazy.
Yeah, but like mine is she's actually a really good watchdog as long as you don't if you break into my house. As long as you don't have a box fan or a vacuum cleaner, like she's actually terrifying. But if you come in with a box fan, it's game over, man. She's just gonna run and hide. All right, who we got to chat tonight? We got Bill Morehouse is here. Stephanie Jackson is here. Jeff Drums is here. I think we already said hi to Jeff Drums. So I assume some of these people know you.
I think you may assume correctly.
Okay, so this is your fan base. Gigi TB Drummer is here. I'll tell you what, man. Gigi is she good, man. She is so good. She's such a monster player. Little Gigi
Yeah, she's cool, man. She's playing. It's been awesome watching her progress over the last couple years. We've been doing YouTube, but she's just taken off. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that leads me to all right. How long you been doing this whole YouTube thing?
Well,
man, what is it?
Was it your idea or my idea? I don't know.
I think it was mutual, right?
Mutual.
Yeah, we kind of both came to the conclusion that it would be fun.
Yeah. Probably. So I guess it was
16. Was it?
Yeah, 2016. I think our first video that we posted was of my goofy self playing like a Tupac song. California Love. And that's when I first met Beats by Jay, too, during that posting of that video.
Is that your first song? California Love?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
California Love was your first cover?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it was September of 16.
Okay.
So now our channel, I have my channel up since, I guess, 11. And I was just thinking about posting some band stuff back then. Hey there, Miller. And yeah, I was thinking about posting.
This is Milwaukee, baby. This is Milwaukee up here.
Well, I was thinking about posting some band stuff, you know, posting just jams and stuff that we'd had over the years. And it just changed forms completely. And I stopped playing out a lot. I was playing in about 4 or 5 bands at the time. And then it kind of started tapering away. I needed a break. Nate starts playing quite a bit. He had been playing for a little bit. How long at that time?
Let's see, 2 years ago?
Yeah. I don't remember when we started.
Probably 8 years at that point.
Okay, so he has been going for about 8 years by then. And I was like, hey, do you want to start a YouTube channel or something? And maybe, you know, we'll meet some other people. He could get some exposure and playing, you know, and because it would just sound like a fun thing to try. And
It has been fun.
yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Now, Nate, do you play in any bands, or are you just pretty much a lone wolf right now?
I would love to play in bands, but it's really hard to find people, especially in my age, that want to play out.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think I've ever really been in like a band. We've tried to get some together over the years, but it's never really worked out. Yeah, I'm a lone wolf player.
That sucks. That sucks that people don't want to play anymore. You know, I think it's gotten so. It's almost like rock bands or just bands in general are almost like another organized activity for kids. You know, when I was a kid, I don't know, it was with you, Jeremy, but when I was a kid, it was kind of something you did. Not really to freak your parents out, but it was kind of like seen as a rebellious thing, you know. Yeah. And now it's like, well, I know where it wasn't though. It's like when I was doing that, my parents knew where I was. You know, they knew the friends I was hanging out with because we were always in the living room, just driving them nuts. Yeah. But now it just seems to be almost a corporate, like another organized activity like soccer. You know.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
The right nerve too. And I mean, there's I think especially drummers in general, it's becoming the e-drum movement has gained a lot of momentum, which is really cool because it's kind of shed the light on drumming for a lot of people that maybe couldn't play before because of the
noise factor.
Right, and so on. So it's really bringing a lot of different drummers out of the woodwork, or for the first time for that matter. But drumming in general seems like it's becoming, especially with acoustics, more of a lost art in some regard. I mean, you used to hear it a lot more, but it's kind of it's peaky in some areas, but it's kind of dissipated in others.
Yeah, I think it's the church thing. It's alive and well in the church for sure. I mean, and it's where it seems to be like a lot of the really good players are. Yeah, they're coming out of churches. You know, I know there was a couple of guys in Milwaukee who. Man, these guys are, and like one of the guys actually was runner-up in the Guitar Center drum off like 2-3 years ago. He was a Milwaukee church drummer, and he would post these videos on YouTube, and it's amazing. Like the whole shedding phenomenon it's amazing to me. Yeah, I can't like the licks these guys are pulling out is unbelievable. It's stuff that 20 years ago was kind of unheard of. You know,
I think that's one of the things too that seems to be. Talking about like a band, like as a group and so on, it seems to be since like the kind of not really the inception, but kind of we'll just say the inception of YouTube and the ability to be able to do like what we do here and like so many people do all over the world. It's been really cool, but it also seems to me like it is maybe cut back the ability for people to play in bands sometimes too.
Playing together, yeah.
And people lose that and that's where I come from, which is really big for me, is having that musicianship between other musicians, you know, and working on things together and cueing off of one another in the room and really gelling together. And that's one thing that I think doesn't seem to be as prominent. I know it exists, certainly, but it seems like there's a little bit of a struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, like, all I wanted to do was play in bands. That's all I wanted to do was play in a band. And, like, everything, like, I didn't even necessarily want to be, like this great drummer. I just wanted to be in a band. I wanted to be in a great band, you know?
Yeah.
Now, this is actually, I've asked this to everybody who's kind of done this. And actually, Nate is like, how old are you, Nate, by the way?
I am 22.
You're 22. So, okay, you're young. So you came up in this whole YouTube drummer phenomenon. How old were you when you started, like, really, really playing, like, really getting into drums?
Probably 16 or 17.
All right, so you really have, so YouTube was in full swing at that point. Now,
yeah.
You're coming at this as a younger guy. Now, obviously, when I was a kid and I was learning how to play, this didn't exist. Jeremy, this didn't exist for you, you know. So, like, you just couldn't go on YouTube and say, like, oh, how does he play "Fool in the Rain"? Oh, it's really not that hard, you know. But so you kind of had to figure stuff out. But now, the thing I find is, like, I grew up in a small town, like a really small town, and in my world at 15, 16 years old, I thought I was the best. I thought I was the best.
You still are.
No, I'm not. And we go, like, I was in jazz band and stuff, and we go to, like, jazz festivals and stuff. You know, there'd be other jazz bands around the state where, yeah, the drummers were good, but, like, I could hang with that guy. And now I look on YouTube and I see some 8-year-old just completely just blowing doors. And
you sound like my dad. My dad says that about bassists all the time. He feels good about playing, and then he sees these guys playing, like, you know, I don't even know what, just about anything nowadays you can see, and they're just ripping it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now this is the question for Nate is, did you find this discouraged, like, when you go on and you see, like I said, an 8-year-old kid just blowing doors? Did you find it discouraging?
Oh, yeah.
Or you did? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's yeah. And I don't see how you can help it, you know?
Discouraging, but at the same time encouraging, because you see these people, especially the ones that aren't much older than I am. When I started, I was. You see them doing it, and you think, okay, well, they got there, you know?
Right.
Like, somehow they figured out how to get right. So it's like, maybe I can do that, you know? Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, you're like, crap, that's going to take a long time.
Right. And I probably would have worked a little harder at drum lessons, you know, had I seen these kids, had I been exposed to it, like, because I remember my drum teacher telling me, he's like, look, you think you're good. You're not that good, you know? You're not near as good as you think you are. And it probably would have made me maybe work a little harder. Jay wants to know, Jay goes, he goes, did you really think you were good, Jeff? He goes, at 16, he goes, like, he thought he sucked. No, I thought I was good, man. Like, I thought I was, dude, I could play Tom Sawyer. Who else could play Tom Sawyer? I didn't know I could play Tom Sawyer. I couldn't play it right, but I could play Tom Sawyer, you know? So, and, like, to me, that was the pinnacle of drumming, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. So, all right, I got to ask you, you guys have a lot of success on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I mean, did you have something that hit? Did you have a particular video that hit?
Okay.
Yeah, we started, funny enough, like, I think one of the just flip of the coin things that occurred for us was really the what's the Divide album by Ed Sheeran.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we hadn't had a whole lot of material up at that point, and that album broke. But before the album broke out, Nate wanted to do the song Shape of You. Mm-hmm. And that song took off for him. And then multiple songs that we had uploaded from that album jumped. And specifically now the song "Perfect" that we did, I dedicated to my wife.
That has a million views.
Hi, baby. She's yeah, she was my motivation for that one, certainly. But yeah, songs like that, like, golly, that song was getting, I don't even know, like 9,000 or 10,000 views almost a day sometimes. And it was just one of those things. And now our views have really, tapered down, and these subscriptions as well. But, that's another reason why, I think sometimes YouTube is really hit and miss sometimes. And not that we necessarily, or anyone does this, but put all your chips on one video, thinking that, oh, this is maybe the one or something. But we just play to play. I mean, if something happens, cool, that's great. But that's an example, I think, of there were a handful of videos that jumped.
Now, did you get those videos out before anybody else did? I mean, was it one of the first ones, kind of?
Yeah, you did for Shape of You. I know he came over. I think he came over, and it was like maybe like 2 or 3 days after that song broke, because that song came out as a single before the album was released, if I remember right.
Which was really lucky on our part.
Yeah, and apparently they weren't blocking it, which was cool. Which they did block it, and I disputed it, and then it was free to view publicly. But yeah, that Divide album was a big boost for us, for sure. I mean, that was a kind of a game changer. It was just kind of the luck of it for us.
Just a little luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little luck. I think it's like anything. Man, there's some luck involved, It's just, you got like guys who just steady grow. And like, you take somebody like Bonzoli, who I had in last week, he got in on this really early. And he has the uncanny ability to sit and talk about nothing, and draw in people that don't even play drums. Like, he talks about all the time. He goes, I got people that subscribe to my channel, they don't even play drums. They just think he's funny.
He's funny.
And you look at, he is funny, man.
Yeah.
He is really funny, but he is really, really, he can get really geeky. I don't know if you watched the show last week, but man, it got really, really deep there. But, what was I going to say? I was going to have a point. It was brilliant, too. My point was brilliant, and I just forgot it. Like, it's gone. Completely gone.
I will tell you some things, too. I've not like I've become a specialist or anything on, like, YouTube algorithms or anything, but I have studied it quite a bit since we've been doing this. And I feel like for us and what we do, I have a bit of a formula that seems to work decently for us, as far as how things are tagged, the information that's in, video descriptions, how you title something when you're uploading it, yada yada yada, different things. Like,
we learned a lot about thumbnails from
and thumbnails, they can be helpful as well. So,
I've been getting into that too. Like I watch like a lot of the Tube buddy, or not the Tube, the guy with the glasses. The guy I'm talking about. He does all the YouTube how-to videos.
Yes, there's Daryl Eves and different guys.
Daryl Eves, yeah, and I watch a lot of those shows, and I've learned a lot. And I have learned a lot about keyword optimization and all that. But here, like, this is so niche, and there's so many guys doing it.
Yes,
it's almost like, to actually hit, I think it's almost like you get going back to the whole band thing, like getting a record deal. It's just you just kind of, some of it's a little bit of luck. A lot of it's hard work and just persistence.
Yeah.
And plus, your videos look good. Like, obviously, they sound really good. Like, I've commented on how good your videos sound a lot.
Thanks.
Your videos sound fantastic, and they look good. Your lighting's great. When I first got into this, I kind of looked at some of the bigger channels, like you guys and Jay. I'm like, yeah, that's how you want your stuff to look. And I kept trying to improve, and I think I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But
it's an endless pursuit. I mean, I think the way a lot of people do what they do, and I know the way that we do what we do is, me and Nate both together, we try to make the best production, videography and audio and such as best we can for the time at the point that we're making the video. So whatever we're doing at that point, unless we just really screw up terribly, we're doing it, playability wise, our own personal achievements as far as in the drums and everything. We're trying to make it, the best as we can at that point in time. So
that's all Jeremy though too. I know very little about the audio video stuff.
You don't do any of that. You just play. You're just like, shut up, dude. I'm just gonna play drums. I'm just gonna blow doors.
And I jam, and then that's my contribution.
I watched like when the Meshuggah cover you did. Like my jaw hit the floor. Like my gosh, this kid can play, man. Holy cow! I mean, that's
fun.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's fun, dude. I love playing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's I went through that phase for where I was like I wanted to play like Dream Theater and stuff like that, and then just one day I'm like, I'm just not. I'm just.
It's hard, man.
It's hard. It really is. I'm like, I don't have like that type of personality, like where I can just sit and like exactly learn a song like that,
I don't think I could. Nate he just told me a minute ago I'll tell him what you're working on. I won't tell him the song, but you heard of the group called the Contortionists before?
No, I'm not familiar with them.
Okay. Nate could tell you about them. They're pretty impressive. But
similar to Meshuggah, just like very out there, very complex, syncopated, rhythmic stuff.
Yeah. They're pretty intense and not in a heavy way so much, at least from what I've heard, like Meshuggah, but it's less complicated, heavy. We'll just say.
Mars Volta type stuff, kind of, maybe a little bit. Yeah, okay.
He's like, you could do that, and I'm like, I don't think I can do that, but thanks. I'll let you do that, and I'll just, play. I'll play the hits or whatever.
It's a little bit of the generational thing, Like I remember when I was a kid and like in high school and. Like me and my friends were playing Rush, and I remember like the bass player in my band, his dad was a drummer at the time, and he was like in his 60s. He was a band that got a record deal. They were signed to Decca, so he'd kind of do it, and we're doing La Via Strangiato. Like we could play that in high school, not that great, but we could play it. And he walked in. I'll never forget. He walked in. He looks at us. He shook his head and he goes, when I was your age, we were trying to figure out Willy Bully.
Cool. That's a nice compliment.
What's that?
That's a nice compliment.
It's a great compliment, but it's a generational thing. It's like athletes. They get bigger, faster, stronger. And drummers, I think, are kind of the same way. It's the stuff we grew up, like me and you grew up playing. Mm-hmm. The drummers before they're blown away what we could do at a young age, and it's the same thing with like a lot of the younger guys now. I look at these guys and I can't believe what they're doing. I look at this stuff like that Meshuggah thing. I can't do any of that. I can't do any of that. And I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'll just go back to doing what I do best.
That's exactly what my dad told me. Years ago about just being an individual. And being a musician is you play what you do what you do and do it well.
Right.
And along the track, other things will come and they'll stick to you and you'll pick those things up as well. But you got to do what your heart tells you. You always want to try to grow as a player and a person, a human being. But, we all have different gifts that we're born with. May it be music or who we are as people, but we gotta do what we can do as people and do it to the fullest.
Right. All right, we got to go back to the beginning now. This is for each you. Jeremy, how'd you get into playing drums?
Well, let's see.
I don't know if I know the answer to this question.
Yeah, that's a. I guess. I think my sister's watching, so she may get a kick out of this. Let's see. The first drum set that I ever got, I believe, and if my dad's watching, I'm sorry, don't slap me, but I got when I think I was.
He still slaps you?
He's got to be quick though, man. I'm stuck pretty good. But I think I was 4, and actually no, I was younger than that. It was 3. It was
Really?
3. Now, don't take that with anything significant because
Right, I've taught 4-year-olds before.
not
There's not a lot.
I've not been playing that long, I can assure you. So my first kit I got, and it was just a little set, had paper heads on it and so on. And I would sit on the arm of the couch at home and play the drums, or act like I was playing the drums. And my sister comes home. This is what my mom told me. I don't remember this well, but apparently my sister came in with like twigs. Nate's mom. This is Nate's mom. Nate's my nephew. I don't know if I even told you all of that, but yeah, this is my nephew. I just figured we assumed y'all knew that. But
yeah, you told me that. Yeah, I think I knew that beforehand. So
my sister comes in and she starts, bringing twigs from outside. I guess some of them were bigger, and she kind of just punched through the heads, which they were just like paper thin, cheap.
they're paper heads. I had one of those when I was a kid too. Yeah.
So that was my first kit, but I always had that like yearning to want to play. I always had some rhythmic something going on in my bones somewhere, and I always wanted to play. I played I guess I was in 6th grade, the next venture. Like, I didn't play any time after that, so the time I was 3 or 4, which I wouldn't even consider that playing, really. Then when I got in 6th grade, I got into the marching band, which it was just like, okay, here, welcome to marching band, and like, now work on your rudiments and come see us in 2 years. So, and then I never did anything further. So I got a drum set when I turned 17, and I had to buy my own drum set. My dad helped me with a loan, which was really cool, and I still have that drum set. And I started playing in, like a lot of people, in my bedroom upstairs and shaking the lamps that were on the ceiling below, scaring the daylights out of my dad.
Patient parents, man. I had them too. Like I said, I think they just knew where I was,
But I just loved rhythm, and it did something to me. It was never about like, I want to go play out, I want to go on the road, I want to do this. I was just inspired by what music did and how it moved me and how I saw it effectively move other people. And it just really bloomed and blossomed from there. And I was fortunate enough to have some really good friends during that time period. And we kind of all actually, like maybe other people have done, we all learned how to play our instruments at the same time over the next, probably 4 years. And it just kind of took off after that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Nate?
I don't know. I think for me, I actually started playing guitar when I was probably like 12 or 13. And I really got into that, but then I found out that like learning scales is hard. It takes a lot of time, So I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, So I think I asked my mom or my dad, or I think I asked everybody I knew for a drum set for Christmas, for a drum set. And everybody told me no, that it wasn't going to have it. It was too loud, like the classic stuff.
I never heard that request, by the way.
Oh, yeah? I should have asked you, too. Yeah, I don't know. But eventually, though, I think I had pestered everybody enough to where they sort of communally decided that they would help me out and get me the set. And I was surprised, like, for that Christmas, I actually came home from a wrestling meet, and my mom like blindfolded me and like took me into the kitchen, and it was like right there. And I remember like that night I went downstairs and played for like 3 hours. I probably got home at like 10 o'clock, but I went ahead and I played like super late. And from then on I was like, okay, this is it. You know, I love this. It was unlike anything else. It was way better than guitar because you didn't have to do scale. You just had to learn 1, 2, 3, 4, and
you're going right away.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Could you like both of you guys? Could you like just? I gotta. Like Jay asked a question too. I gotta ask him, but don't let me forget. Remind me that Jay asked a question. But
Okay.
Did you guys find that like you could just sit down and play? Like the first time you got behind a drum kit, you could like not necessarily the coordination, but you could kind of create some sort of beat.
Sort of. Yeah. Something sort of resembling a beat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a snare on 2 and 4, at least, you know,
Yes.
something along those lines. Yeah. Because, like, I remember the first time I got a drum set. The very first time I sat down on a drum set, like, I could kind of play something, you know. I would play, like, 8th notes on a hi-hat and a snare on 2 and 4. I wasn't really putting a bass drum in, but I know I would put, like, a little skip on the up with my snare, you know. And I was, like, making some sort of beat, and I think that just came along. Like I was like Nate, where it was like I played piano before I played drums.
That's
My
cool.
mom wanted me to play piano, and it was the same thing. I just beat her down and beat her down and beat her down. It's just I want to play drums. 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 And finally, I just think they just gave it. You know. All right, J.A. Beats by Jay's got a question. He wants to know for each of you, what's your favorite song that you've done on YouTube?
Oh, that's a good question. What favorite is mine of Nate's, or what is mine personally? Or?
I think he means personally.
Okay. I guess it could be either one of us for that.
We could do both ways. Yeah, you could do both ways.
Yeah. You go. Man,
I don't know. That's tough. I guess.
just say one of yours. You don't have to say one of mine or something.
I think
You can say it's one of mine if you want.
all of yours.
Jeff Holden.
Favorite for each, he says. Favorite for each.
Okay.
I think mine, just because of the way that I am and what I sort of the way that I approach drumming as a challenge. You know, each song that I do is a challenge, and I try to each one that I attack after the previous. I try to hope at least that it's a little bit more difficult or challenging than the one that I did prior. So I think for me, probably like the last one I did, what I would have to say is my favorite, because it took the most time and effort, you know, to get it down. I think that was Nocturne by Tesseract. It was just like another weird, obscure metal band.
I watched that one. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
He did like one of the best. I mean, Troy Wright's a killer drummer. He did a fantastic job on it too.
This is incredible.
Nate did a freaking killer job on that. Golly.
That was probably my favorite. That's really fun.
Yeah.
That was really fun to learn. And everything.
I like that song by North Lane that you did a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
too. That was awesome.
That was a cool song. I remember that one too.
Yeah.
I remember that's a really, really cool song.
Yeah, weird, kind of atmospheric.
Yeah, I that one stuck in, the name of the band stuck in because I'd never heard of them before.
Yeah.
It reminds me I should go buy that album because I think I really like that tune.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about you, Jeremy?
Okay, what about me? Let's see. Trying to pick my little brain. Man, there's so many, and every song that we do and that I do it's not typically like one that I just go, I want to do that. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's got like some history to it. Like it's a song that my dad's a musician too. Nate's grandpa is a musician. He's a tremendous bassist, and kind of hid that from me from like years of my life that I never really knew, and I never really knew the gravity of the type of band that he was in and how well they did and so on. And it was kind of cool. It was almost like he was keeping it quiet because he didn't want to raise my expectations or feel like competition or something like that. I don't know, but he always kept it pretty on the down low, you know, but it's pretty cool. But I'm talking around the question when I come back to it, but every song that I have done, it's been a bit, it has some reasoning for it to me and why I wanted to do it. But I really enjoyed the Easy Lover song by Phil Collins.
I was
It's
gonna
just
say that for my favorite of
yeah,
yours too.
it's
That's
just
funny.
a straightforward tune. I mean, it's not a terribly complicated song. It's just kind of a feel thing. And I like the song Africa a lot by Toto that I did a while back. It's a hard one to answer, man. That's a good question, Jay, and I think you stumped me, but I don't know. Everyone's kind of my favorite, I think, kind of like Nate said, because each song that we do, like I said before, it's kind of like, to me anyway, it's kind of like the pinnacle of where we are at that time, you know, for the point where we are at our, I guess, technical abilities, and everyone's spiky, and, you know, you get on a roll sometimes with technique or where you're at in the world and things are just clicking. But I don't know. It's probably each of the songs that I had just done, kind of similar to Nate, but I guess I got some favorites. That's kind of a long answer, but sorry.
You got there. You eventually got there. Leighton L. Scott wants to know, how long does it take you from recording to get editing done? So I guess from beginning to end.
That's a great question. Now, I'm guessing he's just talking about from roll tape till posting on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Well,
Okay.
I'm guessing. Yeah, to upload. Mixing and everything.
Okay. Well, for me, it really depends on, one, if I'm just like, I want to get this done and we don't have much going on. I'm kind of a crazy person. Like some people, like if I don't like leaving a project kind of in the coals, if you know what I mean. I like, if there's something sitting there, it just keeps looking at me. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get it done. So I get it done as quick as I can typically. Some of those factors will include how many camera angles that I would be using, because that is quite honestly what takes probably the most, is going through and basically editing the video sections if we have multiple camera angles. I think the most that we've ever done has been probably 4.
Yeah.
And I like to keep it around 3. Sometimes I've even done some with 1, depending on the type of tune it is. So here I go again. Yeah.
How long? How long does it take?
Sorry. My sister's going, yeah, that's my brother. That's my brother. Probably, I could get one done in 6 hours if I wanted to. I mean, that's like my wife standing at the doorway of the office tapping her foot sometimes too.
Right.
You know, like, but probably, I mean, I can bust it out in probably 6 hours if I needed to.
I know that tap. Like, I think the fastest one I ever turned around on was actually the one that they just blocked, the Greta Van Fleet one, the one you guys did.
Yeah.
They just blocked it.
Yeah, they blocked ours too.
Yeah, they blocked, bastards. That's the fastest turnaround I've ever had, because I had the day off work and I got an alert on YouTube, new song by Greta Van Fleet. And I just went, I got the day off, and I had like plans, and they all went out the window. I was gonna mow the lawn. I'm like, nah, I'm doing this right now. I learned the song.
Yeah.
I learned the song, edited it, got it mixed, and got it up in like probably 4 hours. You know?
That's exactly what I did and we did when that Divide album broke.
Yeah.
I listened to it actually because I think it became public at midnight on the day of release, and I listened to the whole album that night, and I got up the next morning and I played like 3 of the songs and recorded them all. I did them all in that day, I think. All the songs, yeah. You can look at the post dates, and I think they're all like consecutive days or something. That's rare. I don't normally do that.
All right, we're gonna get geeky here. Now you're like I said, your videos always look great. Okay.
Thanks, man.
What are you using for cameras?
Sure,
Actually?
that's a great question. I mainly kind of went back and forth over the couple years we've been doing this, but mainly the core of what we've been using has always been a GoPro camera, and we have 2 of those, and they are the GoPro Hero 5 Silver. Okay. Hero 4 Silver, I'm sorry.
That's the one I got.
Yeah, they're really good. I like the screen on the back. They're really easy to use. But we'll use that for the overhead and the hi-hat side on the left on most of our videos. And then for our front shot, we use a DSLR, which is a Canon 70D. I've always been, I don't say always, but for probably at least the last 23 years of my life, I've been involved with photography. So I've always enjoyed that aspect, you know, of videography. Then I got into when those DSLRs started doing video, which is pretty cool. But mainly that's what we use. We've done a few videos that we've used an iPhone when we only had, well, we only had that that DSLR and an iPhone, and I was using, excuse me, my wife's iPhone 6 Plus, I think, which it's amazing the video you could get from those phones. But that's pretty well what I do. Now then I'll go in and I'll do some post editing, and mainly what I do with the video, my template, what I use, it's always the same depending on the intensity of the lighting that I may or may not use. All I do with the video is adjust the contrast up. Usually on the GoPros it's about plus 225, and then I will increase the brightness to about plus 20, and that's it.
What do you use for editing software?
I use what is it called? Sony Movie Studio Platinum, and it's the 12. So it's an old version of it too. But it's been really good. That's the learning curve that I experienced, and from what I researched on that software is a bit nutty. Now, once you get it down, it's pretty cool. I mean, it really opens you up to a lot of options, but it took me anyway a little bit to kind of get that hammered out, because I had not ever really used anything like it before. Actually, any other than what Windows Movie Maker gets. I mean, but
I started on.
But I went from Windows Movie Maker to Sony Movie Studio Platinum, and that's like, I mean, it's a whole nother universe.
Uzi, my man Uzi Boo Boo Doo, who's speaking of another guy that does great videos. I mean, he does great videos, man.
He's very creative.
He is. He's I think he's bordering on a psychotic genius. But
pretty cool.
He wants to know what song is very difficult that you is so. I'm going to try to rephrase this. What song is very difficult and have yet attempted to cover it? I guess that's
Nate or me.
What's your? I guess he's asking, what's your Everest?
Okay. Woo!
Shoot, man.
I don't know what his would be. He's about got it nailed.
I know you've done some pretty crazy stuff, dude.
I got like dozens of Everests, man.
Yeah.
That are just in the back of my mind that, like, hopefully someday I'll be able to tackle. But there are a lot.
Are you familiar with Snarky Puppy?
Oh, I love.
Snarky Puppy.
I would love to play Ling.
Yeah, sling is, or like, what about you? I'd love to see you do one of those actually.
Yeah.
So would I.
Yeah, so those are one of those. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening for me, man, at all. You know, I don't know what's going on there. I just look at it and go, you know, it's
tough, dude.
It's like watching Usain Bolt run. I can run, but I'll never run like that, you know.
I don't know. For me, I don't know. I mean, I know what my limits are and what I can do as a player, I think. And what if I tried some of the stuff that he does, I'd probably be sitting there for about 2 years figuring it out. But gosh, I don't know, man. I'll just say, what would my Everest be? I'd say Nocturne by Tesseract.
What?
Nocturne by Tesseract. I mean, that I don't know if I could ever achieve that, but that's
I think
pretty tough.
If I had to list one song though that I would say is my go-to Everest, it would be a song called "The Brain Dance" by a band called Animals as Leaders. I would love to be able to play that someday, but it's so difficult, super duper difficult. I'm not even close. I mean, I couldn't even play the first 10 seconds of that.
A lot of odd timing and things. I know somebody asked too. I'm kind of been going back. I can't remember who asked it. What kind of sticks do both you guys use? Like, we're gonna get some of the gear stuff here.
Yeah. Nate's got, you still doing 5A? Or?
5A, yeah, right here.
Nate's got 5As. I'm getting ready to place an order for 5As.
Really?
Yeah. So if they don't work out, you may have an early Christmas present.
Sounds good to me.
But I typically use 5Bs. I've got really, I don't want to say I've got huge hands, but I've got
huge hands.
Big hands. So if I hold like a 5A, it feels like a toothpick to me. I mean, even a 5B is small for me.
Really?
Yeah, I used to use Vic Firth makes kind of an odd stick, and it's called, you may have heard of it, it's called an SD9 driver.
Yeah, SD9, yeah, drivers, yeah.
They're pretty big sticks, and I used those for probably about 12 years before I changed to a bit of a smaller stick. But that's what I typically use as a 5B.
Do you have any issue with, like, when you were doing a lot of gigs, did you have any issue with fatigue with that big honking stick?
No, I never did really. It's never bothered me. You talking about with the SD9s or 5Bs?
Either or, just big sticks in general.
Yeah. Not really. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm big, so.
Yeah, you're a big guy. You're a big guy, because I was doing, like, last summer, I was doing, you know, I was doing sometimes 5 gigs of a weekend, like 3 or 4 hours. And at the time I was using 5Bs. And I've always had a little bit of tendonitis from bad technique when I was younger. So practice your technique, kids. It does make a difference. But it really just wore me out. Those big sticks at the end of the summer just wore me out. I was going to therapy like on a Monday to get knotted out just so I could make the gigs for the weekend and get back to therapy on a Monday, you know. And I switched to a smaller stick, and it semes to have helped. It took some getting used to. I was a 5B guy, dude. I was a 5B guy forever. I used 5Bs. You know, what do you use, Nate?
What I understand, like, and Nate and I talked about this briefly in the past, but all the players, not that we're big on playing really fast or anything like that, but speed does come into the conversation sometimes, and efficiency with getting around the drums. But some of the fastest players, they use toothpicks. I mean, they're really small sticks. I just have a hard time personally feeling like I'm not all over the stick, you know. It's just but it's a big step for me, I think, to go to a 5A just to try it out and see how it feels.
Yeah,
you get used to it.
Yeah.
You get used to it. Like I said, I used 5Bs forever, you know. And when I went to 5As, I'm like, it felt weird. And I actually went to a shorter stick too because I used Vic Firth Extreme 5Bs, long sticks, you know.
Sure.
I think that was part of my problem too. Was I was using these super long sticks and I would grip back further on them.
Yeah,
because
sure.
it was comfortable and it was just, you know,
Off your fulcrum.
yeah, it threw off my fulcrum, and I think that just did. You know, I was messed up last year. I really was. You know.
Yeah.
Really messed up. What do you use, Nate?
Yeah, I use the 5As.
5As, okay.
5As for years. I started with 5Bs, and then I made the switch to 5A, and it was like I had practiced my singles and doubles for 2 years. And I said, hey, a long time ago, you know. Since.
Yeah.
Let's get into some gear a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. You're walking into my realm now. All right. Unless those drums, actually, no. If those drums aren't 30 years old, I don't know anything about them. You want your old Ludwig kit dated, I could do it. But what are you playing back there? I've always wondered what that kit is, actually.
Certainly. The one that's set up right now is a Mapex Saturn.
Okay.
And this is one that I got back, I believe it was in 2007. And I have really enjoyed Mapex drums since I first tapped on one. The one lesson that I ever got, the instructor was using a Mapex, I think it was a Mars Pro kit at that time. And I tapped on that thing, and man, there was the floor tom, and I go, gosh, this thing sounds great. And I kind of started looking into them because that's what in our area what the dealer was pushing kind of at the time, and I was like, man, I'm gonna try one of them out. But so I've got a couple Mapex kits now, but this is the one I pretty well always keep up in the studio, or if I record somewhere or something, this is the one I like to take. I just like it, and apparently they're kind of sought after, the silver badge year and era of these Saturns now. I didn't know that at the time when I got it. I just enjoyed what it was and the finish and how all the hardware is off of the shell, and I think they do a good job of that.
No, it's a really good sounding kit. Really, really good sounding kit. Uzi wants to know when can we expect to see Little Drummer Channel playing on an E-kit and not Guitar Hero kits. He specifically says no Guitar Hero kits.
No, I don't know. I think it'd be cool to get a, an E-kit at some point. I almost hate saying a brand because I think E-kit players can be a little bit more, don't do that, a little bit more protective maybe of their line than some acoustic players possibly. But I like some of the Roland stuff. I played on them at church and stuff, and I kind of like some of the Roland kits. But I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. The Joe Becky stuff, like that Beats by Jay plays, and many others. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe at some point. They're expensive though, man.
Expensive, man. I know. If you either got to buy even if you buy used, especially like the Rolands, man. It's like Roland they're like Apple. It's just their stuff doesn't devalue. It's if you want a second generation Roland kit, you're still gonna shell out a lot of cash.
I know.
And
we have a lot tied up already. Just with. I don't know. It's like anything. Once you've gone in a certain direction, it's kind of sometimes it's hard to go the other way. I mean, we got microphones, and I've kind of acquired those over the years, and cymbal arrays and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to go that way when you already got in the game this far, I guess.
Yeah. What's your cymbal setup?
Awesome.
Well,
it's awesome.
Super jealous.
Well, it depends on what. I mean, this is one of the newest. If you can see that, crashes that I've been using. This is a Byzance 20-inch, and it's a thin, extra thin hammered crash, and I've really enjoyed this thing a lot. But this is one of the mainstays that stays on the kit right now. And I won't pull them all off, but that ride right there is like rarely comes off of the stand, and that's the Mike Johnson transition ride by Meinl.
That's my favorite.
Nate wants to walk out with that every time he leaves.
Yes.
But I like, I've kind of started opening my ears up to Meinl lately, and I've enjoyed kind of just a different sound and a different way of expressing through those cymbals. So pretty well everything on here right now is Meinl that I've got, and it's typically the Byzance line.
So you haven't always been a Meinl player then?
No, I've got a bag of Ks, man. I mean, I got Zildjians, all kinds of stuff.
Ks are awesome too, though.
Yeah,
I like anything dark, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those Byzants are really thin, aren't they? Are all those cymbals really thin? Like, I know that ride is super dry. Super dry.
Yes, and some of them are. They're not all of them are, but the ones I typically do get are because I like how they open up quick. I'm not a real hard hitter personally, so I like when the cymbal opens up without a whole lot of emphasis from myself. It kind of just flowers on its own, and that's kind of why I like those thinner ones, I think, sometimes, as they do that. And they get quiet and get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Uzi wants to know, no wing nuts. Actually.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I think I know the answer, but...
Sure. It's a great question because I'm kind of a audiophile nerd a little bit, and I can hear the difference. And I know some people are going, "Oh, that's BS," but I mean, I can when there is any type of dampening or anything to the cymbal or even felt, I can hear the decay diminish, and I like that natural decay of the cymbal. Since I don't, and Nate doesn't really either, we don't beat the cymbals very hard. So really there's no need to have a wing nut on there because they're not going to fall off or anything.
Right.
In the cymbals, quite honestly, it's kind of a tip I wanted to share at some point, but your cymbals will last a lot longer too if you allow them to move freely.
Yeah, you can't tighten that down. That's a huge no-no. Huge no-no. Yeah.
Right, even just a little bit. I mean, if you prevent that cymbal sway, you're increasing that focal point of the impact on your cymbal from the stick, and you can crack them. So I just like the cymbal to move.
I crack a lot of cymbals. I do. I crack a lot of cymbals. I've just had bad luck lately. Just the last couple of years, I bought a Zildjian 16-inch medium thin crash, just a standard Zildjian. And I think I bought it in August, and it cracked in like September the next year. You know what I mean? I had the worst luck with them cracking right as the warranty's gone out on them. But I switched to Peisty. I'm in the midst of switching to Peisty. Earl talked me into the Peisties, man.
They're good cymbals.
They are. It's like I always said, like, forever I drove a Ford. Forever, that's all I drove was Fords. It wasn't even like a question. No, I'm just going to buy a Ford. I'm going to buy a Ford. I'm going to buy a Ford. And then one day, I opened my mind up a little bit, and, man, they're really good cymbals. They're really, really good sounding cymbals.
I used to have a Peisty Fast Crash Signature, and that was my absolute favorite cymbal. It was a 14-inch, and it was one of those crappy things that I let one of my buddies sit in at a gig, and of course it cracked.
You cracked it.
That was like my favorite cymbal. But I still have a piece of it though.
I had that happen, like loading out of a gig one night. It was really cold out. Stuff was all sitting in the truck. Where's he going? You gotta go potty?
He's grabbing.
Was he gotta?
Still got it.
Oh, I thought you had to go poop.
No, I'm wearing a diaper. Yeah, I'm wearing a diaper. I don't need to go. I just stay. Here's the part of the cymbal I still have.
Oh yeah.
I just cut it down and made an effect cymbal out of it, like a chime.
Oh, the sound. Not bad.
There you go.
That hurt. that hurt. Nate, what do you play? I mean, obviously this is you have more. Is this your only kit? You just come over here and play, or do you have a kit too?
No, I have a kit. It's actually my older brother's old kit. We bought it from him years ago. And it's a D drum. I think it's D drum AMX. I'm not positive if that's it, but I think that's it.
Okay.
And it's great. It's really cool. It's especially good for metal, like the heavier metal stuff that I play. It's got a huge kick that cuts through like so nicely. And I've played that for probably like 5 years.
What size is the kick?
Dude, oh my gosh. What's that one?
I think that's a 28.
Yeah, so it's probably like 24.
Yeah.
Oh, did he just point to the 28?
Yeah, that one's enormous.
It's across the room.
It's huge.
Yeah, the 28's a little, it's a little big. Jill Dunn Watkins wants to know, if you could play for a living, where and what would you play?
Woo! Is that to both of us, or?
I think so. She didn't specify. I don't think she was talking to me.
Yeah. I think if I could just say my little part about that is the unfortunate part about me, not that I'm a great player, but if I lived, I'm kind of a product of a small town that where we are very limited to connecting with a lot of different musicians.
Yeah.
Even though Nashville is not terribly far, there are other, cities that aren't terribly far, but it's tough to find people. So, if I could have my choice, I would probably say, and I could always come back home because I'm kind of a homebody. I would probably say Nashville, maybe a little bit New York, and maybe LA, but I can't stay there very long.
I could. You're like me, man. I don't think I could stay in New York or LA for any just extended period of time. I could do Nashville. I think I could deal with Nashville because Nashville reminds me a little bit of Milwaukee, but those big cities, I just can't do them. I don't even like driving to Chicago. Like, I can't imagine living there and having all right, Uzi wants to know, what's your dream kit?
Dream kit? Oh man, I don't know. I think I have dream cymbals more than I do a dream kit. The pieces. I think though, if I had to say, man, it would probably be like whatever the latest Mapex models are. I mean, they sound so good.
Uh-oh. Are you there? There you are.
I'm here. I'm here.
Disappeared.
No, I'm here. I was just sitting back a little bit because it's just sitting back. No, I didn't go anywhere. Yeah. What about you, Jeremy? What kit would you?
I don't know. I really like what I have. I mean, I don't get too nerded out about that kind of thing. I mean, what I think sometimes helps define a drum set is
who's hitting it.
Always do what?
Who's hitting it?
Who's hitting it? That's for sure.
You know.
But the snare drum and the cymbals and the kick drum.
Snare cymbals kick. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that is like that's your meat and potatoes right there, and everything else kind of fills in. I mean, I think that I could probably get a really entry level drum set sounding decent. I mean, not like I can, make wine out of water or anything, but I mean,
no, but you put good heads and somebody that knows how to tune, and maybe even just stand up some bearing edges on the crappiest stencil kit from China, you can get it to sound good. You know?
Oh yeah.
Anybody that knows what they're doing can get a cheap drum set to sound good.
Oh
now,
yeah.
Is it gonna sing like a top of the line Gretsch? No, it's not.
Sure.
It's just not. But you could get it sounding respectable and good enough for most applications. You know.
Yeah, they did that. Drumeo did that. They made a video about that. Like, I think they bought like a $200 kit, and it sounded great by the time they were finished tuning it.
I've seen that.
Yeah, definitely can.
Was that Cobus on that?
Yeah, it was him and Cobus.
Yeah, I seen that years ago. Yeah.
There's another guy too, Spectra Sound Studios. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel. He does a lot of audio stuff. You ever heard of him?
I don't think I have.
Well, he's kind of a douchebag to watch, but he really, you'll watch him like, yeah, this guy's a douchebag, but like he really knows his audio stuff. And
you ever seen Jeff Holden's channel before?
He's a douchebag too. But he knows what he's talking about.
I'm just kidding.
But he did the same thing, whereas he took like a $700 some Chinese kit, put good heads on it, and he put it up against like a DW or I think a Gretsch or something like that, and you could hear the difference, sure. But it wasn't $3,000 worth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that goes back to what I said before, is a lot of it depends on who's hitting the drums. John Bonham's drum set sounded like John Bonham's drum set because he was the guy hitting them. You know?
Well, there's so much like between that line from the tip of the borrow your stick for a second. From the tip of the stick, from the person holding it, from the point that it makes contact with that drum. How is that drum tuned? What head is it? What drum is it? What microphone is on it? How is that microphone set? How is it EQ'd? How is it panned? What's on it? I mean, there are so many variables that go into that. You can really make things sound almost however you want them if you got an idea and the resources to get you to that idea.
Very true. That's actually very true. I have my favorite drum set, the drum set I have that thinks sounds the best is, all you guys ever see in my videos is like 2 drum sets. I have a lot more than that. But I have it's a Rogers kit. I don't know if you're familiar with Rogers. They were big in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But it's a Rogers kit that I bought. It had extra holes in it. I mean, it's just an ugly, horrible-looking drum set. I paid like $300 for it. I bought this drum set from a guy like 4 years ago. I'm not joking. I have never tuned a floor tom. It just doesn't go out of tune. Like every once in a while, like there'll be like one of the lugs will just be a little loose, and I'll go hit it a little bit, and boom, and that thing sounds unbelievable. And it is now. Keep in mind, it was in the 70s. It was a top of the line drum set. In the 70s, this thing probably cost $1,200 or $1,300. But the fact is, you look at this and it's. There's no way this thing can sound. It sounds great, man. And you know my green sparkle kit. You know what that is? You know it's a Ludwig, right?
I think I knew it was a Ludwig.
But you know what kind of Ludwig it is?
No.
It's a rocker.
Okay.
It's a Ludwig rocker, and once again, good heads. Good. Now this is an American-made rocker. It's not like the Chinese junk they came out with years later. This is still made in Chicago. But you know it's once again, it's who's hitting it, how it's tuned, you know.
Certainly, yeah. You know. It's a lot to do with it.
Oh, Joe got another question, actually.
Is she the only one watching right now?
No, man, there's a lot of people on, like way more than usual.
Oh,
usually
crap.
I get like 2. It's usually Jay and Johnson drummer, and then maybe every once in a while Steve Cox might pop in or Leighton Elscott.
Well, hey everybody, glad you're here.
How does their physical workout work? How does their physical work play into their playing? Physical workout play into their playing.
Oh, well, like conditioning, physical conditioning and such?
Right.
I don't know about you, but I notice a huge difference whenever I have been like not taking a break from, working out a bit and so on. That's always been kind of something that I've enjoyed doing. It just kind of is one of those things that helps make me feel like I'm a complete person, I guess. But I notice a big difference when I have not been working out versus when I have, like my stamina. And there's a different side of practicing for like 8 hours like I used to. There's a mental conditioning that has to take place too, for me, because you can't just sit down and effectively play for 8 hours, physically or mentally. There's a lot of conditioning, at least that I experienced, that has to be achieved. But I notice for sure a difference if I have not been exercising versus when I have.
Yeah, same for me. And I've noticed that in pretty much every area of my life. The more active I am and the more I'm exercising, the better and more efficient I am in everything that I do. So I think that's true for drumming as well.
Yeah. It affects everything you touch, I think.
I gotta start exercising again.
For the hula hoop, man, that's always fun.
The hula hoop? Nah, I can't move my hips, man. I can't. You should see me hula hoop. It is comical. I'm like a. Remember Weebles? Remember Weebles when you were a kid? Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. It's like I can only move like the top of my head. I can't. It's amazing I can play the drums because I can't move my body in any sort. My arms go up and down and my legs go up and down, and that is it. It's Uzi wants to know where his ace slice of pizza is.
I probably ate it. Kind of a sucker for that.
All right, I gotta get into your recording a little bit.
Okay.
I've said it before. I've said it. I will say it again. Your videos sound incredible, and it's not even just like I'm not even talking about how the drums sound. I'm talking about how you get everything to mix together, like when you mix with tracks that already have drums in it. I don't even notice the original drums. Like you seem to mesh it all so well.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do you do it, and can you do it to my stuff?
I was telling Nate, I don't know if we should let this out of the bag, but since we're on live TV on YouTube, maybe it's time. We really like the band Milli Vanilli, and it's never been us. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're miming. Mime is money, man. Mime is money.
And it comes down to, first off, really knowing the tune and trying to be, if you're playing a song, which we do, probably more than half of the tunes we play, they do have existing drum tracks. It's not the best way that I choose to do it because you have to work with the recording and the mixing to get it to work a little bit better. But the best thing I could say is trying to play the song as tight as you can helps a lot.
So you pretty much play exact for the most part?
There's some variation and, sometimes certainly like that you kind of put yourself into a song. I always do that on purpose so people don't think that I am miming a song. I'll usually do it within, if you'll watch about any video that I do it quick, like within the first 20 seconds of the tune, that I stray off, or if I go for a splash, or if I do something like that. I do that because I feel it, but I also do it because I want to make people know that I'm playing the song. You know, I'm not just, you know, miming it or whatever. But
Right.
But I use a technique that you laughed at it. I know it's funny, but this is not saying you laugh like, what the crap, but I keep it really simple, you know, and some people are probably going to think this is nuts, but I told you this the other day.
Right, and it actually made me mad.
Yeah. But what I do, every single video that we have ever put on YouTube, every one is only 2-track. So I never mix the drums. I only mix the left and right track of the drums.
So good, man. I don't know how
Yeah.
you do it, you know?
Yeah. The one thing that I do add that changes it a little bit is I will use a left and a right room mic. And I've only started doing that really over the past, you know, probably 6 to 8 months. But I will also use a sub kick in addition to the other kick drum mic that's on there. My dad made a kind of a custom diaphragm microphone. My dad's an amazing broadcast engineer. I haven't said that, but he's one of the big reasons that I think we're both into music. And my sister, his mom, is an amazing singer. So we have a lot of music in our blood as well. And your dad, I mean, his dad's a good singer and plays guitar well too. But my dad, he is very good at building things. So he built a diaphragm for this one that blew on me probably a couple years ago. So I got a sub kick on that kick drum as well. So in order to get past some of the low frequency conflictions and phasing issues that can occur sometimes, I will push that sub kick up to kind of help balance the mix out a little bit. And another thing that I do sometimes to help without getting overly nerdy, I'm trying to keep it fairly simple, but it's an easy trick, and I'm sure a lot of people do this anyway, but I will back off typically it's probably around 100 hertz on the original track to bring the low end down just a little bit, and it helps smooth out the mix a lot. It's just a simple trick to do to decrease the confliction of low frequencies that can occur, so it smooths out the mix a little.
So, I mean, you showed me. You showed me what you're using for to record on. Now, what do you send to tape as far as like compression and gates? I mean, how much are you sending? I mean, are you compressing, doing a lot of compression? I assume everything's dry, I guess. Are you running any effects at all, or?
I don't do any sends, except for what I will do is I patch in on the bass and kick drum, and I've got a DBX 166XL that I will run a snare into that, and I'll run the kick into that too. So I've got a little bit of compression on the snare and a little bit on the kick. And at the time of the recording, I cannot change that. Right. So I want to make sure that is right as rain, I guess, at the time, at the take. And that's what I'm getting at too. What we capture from our drum track, I can't go back and say I need to pull some snare drum out of that. It's done.
Right.
So I do that to challenge myself also to get the best mix I can at the moment of recording. So it's like a live recording. So that's what I like to do.
It's actually amazing because if you look if you go way back in my channel, I had like a 12-track board or whatever. They had like a USB out, and it was just, it had like a little compression on it, and that's how I recorded like my first 6 or 7 covers that I did.
Yeah.
And it was so much work to get everything set up, and I was just like, it was like frustrating to me. I'm like, this is, I stopped doing covers completely.
Yeah.
You know, because it was so hard.
It's a lot of work, sure.
And it's like, I'm not like, I don't want to sound like arrogant, but I want my stuff to sound good. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
it just
What
comes from
represents you and what you're doing. Absolutely.
right. And it comes from like playing in original bands and like, you know, like agonizing over that stuff, like going in the studio and, you know, the snare drum's not right or whatever. So it's like, I want my stuff to sound good, and I can't put out something where it doesn't sound good, you know? And that's kind of part of the reason why I'm just like, I'm done. I stepped away. And then I actually got an interface, and I was able to do some of that stuff in Reaper. And man, it's so much better now, so much easier. And to me, this is the fun part, because I've played before, you know.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, one of the things I've always challenged myself to do is to not go to the point of having a computer in here. There's no computer in here. Everything's analog that we do. That's the other thing that differs from our channel. Except for the capture, I will say that the capture is somewhat digital, but it is still an analog based approach. And I think that that's something for me that's really important. It kind of represents my roots a little bit too, from, you know, my dad, Nate's grandpa, and, you know, it just is a bit symbolic, you know.
Did he have a recording studio when you guys were growing up, or did he work in one, or was he just kind of around it a lot?
He builds them. Yeah.
He builds them, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're mainly broadcast studios, though, for like, you know, hello, welcome to 97.1, you know, whatever, you know.
But he knows how to design a room.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Absolutely.
That's another thing, is that's, you know, that's probably 70% of your battle right there, you know.
It's part of it, sure.
You know, adding your mics, you know.
Yep.
So what are you using to record? I know what you're using.
Sure. Well, basically, what I've challenged myself again to do is to basically try to get maximized with the minimum that I can. And I think if I showed some people what I'm actually using, they would be like, what the crap? They wouldn't believe it. But I'm using a middle grade, this is for YouTube stuff mainly, but for a middle grade Mackie CFX 20 mixer. And I come out of that, I bounce everything to a sub channel 1 and 2, and I bounce it over to a Tascam DP32. And it's a very, very simple setup. I mean, very simple. Now, what comes into play when you're doing this kind of thing is how you run your cables. You know, my dad has nonchalantly taught me over the years, and what I've learned from him is how you run your cables, what you don't run over or under your cables, you know, keeping all your power separate from all of your audio cables. At least don't let them touch for longer than 2 or 3 feet.
Hold on. Yeah. I gotta interrupt you for 1 second.
Sure.
1 second. All right. Don't lose your train of thought.
Okay.
Beats by Jay says, Mackie, ? To sub channels on a Tascam ? 1988 called They Want Their Shit Back.
That's funny. I know, but this stuff, it works.
It does, though. I recorded, you know, I think we were talking about this on Friday, is I recorded an album in the late 90s with that same, wasn't that Mackie board, it was the 8-bus, it was an 8-bus Mackie, but into ADATs. Remember ADATs?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what we're recording an album on with like the same thing, like a couple DBX compressors, you know?
Yeah.
And it's amazing the sound you could get if you got someone that knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to get that message out.
Fine.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine. I would just talk basically just how you set things up. And honestly, the less that you do and keep it straight, keep it right, the better the outcome. Because a lot of times what people will do, and what I've seen people do, not saying I know everything. I'm always trying to learn and take in information and process it and, you know, do something good with it, hopefully. But you don't always have to get the best of something to get it to be right. What you need to do is to spend the time with that thing, whatever it is, and get to know it like it's your best friend. And understand how it works and how it responds in different situations and how you can adapt to that and or adapt that piece of equipment to that particular environment.
I mean, obviously, you're getting the most out of that board.
It's mixed out, you bet.
You're getting the most out of that. I mean, the board can only do so much. I think you're getting every little bit out of it that you can. I mean, but you obviously are using really good microphones. I mean, what do you use for mic? What are your mics? You know?
Sure. That's a good question because, you know, they're like the ear of what you do. So you want to have the ear to hear the best and the most complete as it can at the time that you're using it. So I use a wide variety of microphones. I like AKG microphones. I like Sennheiser microphones. Those are the two brands or lines that I really like probably the most. I came across not a real new microphone, but a decently new from AKG. It's a D5. Not to get nerdy, but I got, when they first broke out, Amazon was selling them for like dirt. I mean, like $65 or something. And I got several of them at that time. And I've really enjoyed those mics.
Are they like a tom mic or something, or what are they?
But I use it on my snare drum or our snare drum. That's typically on the batter side. That's what I use all the time. And on the bottom, on the Rezo, we'll use a Shure SM57. The hi-hats right now have a Studio Projects microphone on them. Another great gift from my dad. And I use AKG C, I think they're 4000Bs for overheads. You can't ever see those on the recordings. But I'll do a studio tour sometime and kind of give you a little heads up on those. But and then I use AKG C1000s for room mics. And
so you're running really good microphones. You're not like using piles or anything like that. You're using really good microphones. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, they work for me. I mean, a lot of them they don't make anymore, even, which is, you know, unfortunate. But that's kind of how that goes sometimes. The Sennheiser's E604 microphone, man, those have been amazing. These little clip-on mics that are on all the toms, those things are unreal. You can get those really cheaply too.
I know. I got a sound man friend of mine who uses those mics, and he swears by them. He just loves them. Loves them.
Really nice sounding microphone. Did we kill anyone yet? Did they run away?
Some eyes are glazing over. I think we still got 15 people. I mean, that's pretty good, man.
Wow! Look out!
Yeah, that's pretty deep. I mean, we're still not talking about the lathing pattern on a Peisty cymbal like we were talking about last week, though. that was pretty deep. That was pretty deep. Well, you know what, man? It's not. We've been at this an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta get up early in the morning, and I still gotta play Dude's video. I screwed that up. I gotta play this guy's video, man. Look, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for hopping on the show tonight. This was a really good show. This was really enjoyable.
Can I do one public service announcement before you
go? Sure.
People, please protect your ears.
Oh, yeah.
If you do anything, if you're a young person listening, if you're an old person listening, I don't care. Protect your ears, especially if you play drums. Every time you hit that snare drum and you have unprotected ears, it's almost like a small caliber gun going off. Do yourself a favor. Protect your ears. Okay.
Yeah, in-ears. Monitors, dude, they go a long way. They really do. What's left of my hearing has been saved by using in-ears. They make a big difference because I can keep the volume down. I can keep the volume down, and I can still hear everything. And that was always the biggest problem before playing live. I mean, you played live for how many years before in-ears, right?
A while. I wish I would have done other hearing protection prior to that.
Yeah, I didn't do any.
My hi-hat made me lose some high frequency on my left ear.
Oh, I know my right ear is pretty well. It's pretty well shot, man. I remember I was in a band. We were so loud when we practiced. The bass player had a 5-string bass, and every time you hit that low B or whatever it is, it's a low B, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a B. Every time he'd hit that, I had a loose filling in my tooth. I could feel it rattle.
Oh,
I mean, that's how loud we practiced, Wow. Unbelievable. All right. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for coming on. This was great. I mean, I really enjoyed this one. Nate, Jeremy, thanks, guys. All right. I'm going to run this video, and then I'm going to be out. This is DMS Drum Covers. Go check out his channel. I got a link in the description below. Hopefully this works. Please work. I'm going to pray. Please work. Here we go.
For over almost 2 hours.